Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Well, yesterday we had our big meeting that we always have every month, and it was exciting. So I wanted to give you a little update on that and then get into some stuff that, well, we've been talking about shortages and how things are going to progressively worsen. And I want to show you some stuff that maybe you've not been on your radar yet, to let you know that, when they say that we're going to have shortages, they mean business. So yesterday was, like I said, our monthly meeting. We usually have these about every 4 to 6 weeks. Just all depends on when the date falls and stuff. And it was another great one. We had, at least 200 people show up, packed house, just some really amazing people there. It went so good. It's like a big family now. We've been having these enough. That's kind of what it feels like, as a big family setting. And there was a lot of new people there, people from all over the country: Virginia, Wyoming, Texas, Ohio, Illinois, Tennessee, Arkansas, and I'm probably missing a few other states. And some of these people that were coming from out of state, a lot of them were coming because they're trying to start something like this in their neck of the woods. And so they're coming to kind of see how it works and, kind of pick my brain. Other people are potentially moving here. There were a few people that they have property here, kind of their bug out property. And so they were coming here to the meeting to kind of get to know people so that they can go ahead and start building those connections and relationships with people here, in case, or the time that they decide to go ahead and make their move here. So it was a really good meeting. Other than myself, we had, I think, 3 other people speak on different subjects, and we talked. It was a quite wide variety of topics, everything from just working together and getting along as a community. Patrick from the Missouri Liberty Alliance, and if you're not familiar with them, you should certainly look them up. They're a great kind of we started to call them like a sister organization, even though we're not an organization. They're very involved in more the political side of things here in the state of Missouri, of trying to keep Missouri and pull Missouri back into that, strong liberty, very traditional values and traditional policies. And so Patrick is just a wealth of information and a super great guy. And he spoke for a few minutes, giving us some updates. We had a guy there that's kind of a water filter expert, and he talked about that and did a little demonstration. I talked about EMPs, but most specifically Faraday cages, and how to go about to make one, because most of the information, I'll probably make a video on this at some point, most of the information out there online on how to make a Faraday cage is antiquated. This is information that was put out in the 50s and 60s, at the start of that kind of nuclear war age, and where they were first developing and testing this stuff. And the nukes today and the EMPs that would come from them, or even a major CME, are much more powerful than those early nuclear weapons. And so your Faraday cages are going to have to be a lot beefier than what the information that was given out back in the 50s and 60s, which is most of what we see today online. We talked about personal health, how important that is as a prepper and as a homesteader, and how to do it in natural ways. Had a guy talk about that. It was a fun day, and I want to thank everyone that came. You made it a great day. I'm completely wore out. We were there for about 13 hours, I think, but it's not a bad thing. A lot of people stayed late, like they always do, and we just sat around talking. And planning, and here in the near future, probably in the next couple of months, we're going to we've got a guy that attends. He's one of our regulars, part of our community, and he's an executive chef, and he's also I don't know what the exact term is, but I know he knows how to process animals. And so we're going to butcher one of our lambs there. We're going to bring the carcass in, and we're going to do a full demonstration on how to process a lamb. And we've got other things lined up in the works. You know, we've got some really, really great people that are attending these meetings. And so we're working on different ideas and different things to get them up there to kind of help share their knowledge and teach others. So I'm telling you, it's exciting, the stuff that's going on. A lot of small groups are starting to really form. For those of you that, haven't heard, what the meetings aren't necessarily what a prepper would call a mag. They're too big, 200-300 people a month coming. That's not what it's for. The idea is to take from that and get people connected in their local area and create little small groups. And that's happening. It's happening, every month. We're hearing more and more people making connections with people that they meet that live near them. And so that's pretty cool. In fact, it was really cool at the meeting. There were two families there that my wife met one and I met the other. And then by the end of it, we were all talking together that live within like less than 5 miles of our house. So that's pretty cool. So, if you're in the area, if you're in the Ozarks and you want to attend, like I said, we usually have these every 4 to 6 weeks, and they're fun. They're super cool. And it's just a big, a very laid back kind of family gathering. I always tell people what it feels like. It's like going to a church potluck. That's kind of the feel, the atmosphere is just a big church potluck because there's always plenty of food there. Anyways, the point today's video is we've been hearing about shortages for months. We've been seeing it. We're seeing it. Probably everyone that's watching, including myself, have dealt with some level of shortages of just trying to get certain parts for something that's maybe taking a long time. In fact, yesterday I was talking to a guy and he had to order parts for, I think it was his motorcycle, and it took 1.5 years, or just a little over a year. He just got them in, and they were ordered about 1 year and 2 months ago, and they finally just came in. We're hearing about this all over. It's probably not to the level yet of being so critical that it's just really impacting our lives, but it's a growing problem, and we're hearing about it. These shortages aren't always real shortages. We know that. A lot of it's manufactured. In fact, virtually all of it's manufactured. We're not seeing that necessarily, there just isn't enough metal raw materials to make, these metal components, or that there, isn't enough of this component or this raw material to make it. There's shortages because of all these various things happening, shutdowns and mandates on employees so that there's less employees. We're seeing, government restrictions all across the planet in various areas. And most of this has been attributed to the global health crisis, right? But as I've said on here before, that is just a catalyst for things to come. And as we've also talked about here, this whole Great Reset, this whole Agenda 2030 and globalist blah, blah, blah takeover. Yes, you probably know what I'm saying, blah, blah, blah. This next stage in this is this, well, I got to come up with a phrase for it because YouTube now is outlawing people talking about it. Shall we say Earth weather thing. That's the new scare, right? The planet's weather. And so we're seeing manufactured, controlled demolition of supply chains because of that. And they're going to blame it. They're going to say, see, this is why we got to tax you to death. This is why we got to take away all your rights, because, the planet's weather health is so bad that look at what it's doing to all these areas of manufacturing and supply chain. And we're seeing that more. And there's stuff that's coming out just in the last week or two. It's expanding into areas that are going to be, I think it's expanding into areas, this shortage crisis, into areas that's going to affect us even more. Plastic, water, medicines, the raw materials for cans, it's getting worse. And when you think about it, everything. Think of something, name me something in your life, a product that doesn't somehow use plastic. I mean, everything now has plastic in it. And look at this. They're talking about plastic shortages. Plastic shortages, the materials, shortage in the raw materials, shortage in the manufacturing of it because of lack of employees in certain places. They're talking about shortages because of supply chain problems. Plastic. I mean, that's pretty severe because, like I just said, virtually everything has plastic. And if we're talking about some type of global plastic shortage, which is what's being talked about over the last week or two, that's going to start affecting us severely. They're talking about water shortages. We've got to start conserving water. This is bad. There's water shortages. There's not enough water for farmers, and there's certainly areas of the country and on the planet that are experiencing drought problems. But they're talking about it on a global stage, global, all over the place. We've got to start conserving water. The quality of water is dropping. There's not enough water for farming. There's just not enough water. We're hearing this in other things, there's not enough, energy. Today in the news, it was an article that the president is considering shutting down another gas pipeline, another pipeline for gasoline. I mean, it's not enough that we're paying, almost double at the pump of what we did a year ago. And we got to shut down another gas line. There's one in St. Louis, and this is natural gas. This is what provides heat for a large percentage of the city in the metropolitan area of St. Louis. In fact, 650,000 homes are heated by this natural gas pipeline, and the federal courts are shutting it down mid-December, right in the middle of the start of winter. They're saying by the end of December, 650,000 homes in St. Louis probably won't have natural gas to heat themselves. That's severe. It's crazy, and it's severe. I've been getting emails from folks. I received one, I think it was yesterday or the day before or something like that. And this guy is a purchasing manager for a company, and it's one of the components that he has to purchase is plastic, and they're being told that they're not going to get any of that stuff for about a year, that it's that far backed up. So he's trying to scramble as the purchasing manager for this company of, well, how do we exist as a company if one of our main components is this plastic, and they're telling me we can't get it for a year? Think of the damage of businesses. I mean, how can a business survive if the components that they use to make their stuff isn't going to be around for a year? Are they just going to, kind of put a pause on their manufacturing for a year and then, start it back up a year later? No, of course not. They're going to go under. They're going to collapse. Aluminum shortages. There's all kinds of articles and talks about how there just isn't enough aluminum cans, to make all the soda and all the beer and all the other stuff that goes in aluminum. There's shortages in that. We're hearing more and more talk about shortages on parts for farming. And then this is a serious thing. It's to the point now that there's talks. Maybe it may not be widespread global, but it's certainly in certain regions across the planet that farmers aren't able to get the parts for their equipment to farm, for their tractors, for the combines, for, whatever the equipment is that they're using. And if any of you've ever farmed before, you spend almost as much time repairing your equipment as you do using your equipment. I mean, that's just how it is. You're always repairing something. And they're not able to get the parts for their equipment. And it's to the point now that in certain areas, farmers are starting to worry if they're going to be able to actually farm. Like they're not able to plant, or they're not able to harvest because their equipment doesn't work because they can't get the parts to fix it. This, I firmly believe, is manufactured. It's orchestrated disaster. It's an orchestrated collapse. And many people, I get the emails, I get the comments. Oh, well, it's just a fake shortage. It's not a real shortage. You're correct. But that doesn't mean we don't worry about it. That doesn't mean we don't plan for it. That doesn't mean that it doesn't affect us. And let me use this as an analogy. Diamonds. Did you know that diamonds aren't really very rare at all? In fact, of all the kind of gemstones, they're considered one of the most common ones. And they weren't really very valuable up until about 150 years ago. And then all of a sudden, this company called De Beers decided to buy up probably 90% of the planet's diamonds. And they hold them in massive vaults. And they are very restrictive of how many they allow out onto the market. And because of that, it's created this scarcity, which has caused the price of diamonds to go up over the last century or so. Are diamonds really in a shortage? No, there's huge vaults somewhere all over the planet that they own filled with diamonds. But if you don't have access to them, then they're rare. And so that's what these elites, these heads of state, these heads of companies, these banking cartel, all of them, is the stuff there? Sure, it's there. Is there enough crude oil? Yeah. Is there enough water? Yeah. Is there enough raw materials to manufacture aluminum and other metals and plastics and stuff? Sure, there is. But if they're orchestrating and doing things along that supply chain to slow it down, to put roadblocks, to keep it from happening, then for you and I, regardless of what really is happening, it still affects us. It's still a shortage. It still causes the prices to increase. It still limits our access to those products that we need, or the companies that we run, or the companies we purchase from, that they need them. And I believe that this is all part of this orchestration of a collapse. I mean, the whole Great Reset, that's what they talk about the whole time. If you read into that, they're warning people about, there's going to come a time that there's not going to be enough water. There's not going to be enough materials. And it's because, we haven't taken care of our planet, and because we've been bad stewards, and we're going to, the only way to fix this is to tax you into, death, and to take away all your property, and to take away all your rights, and then let us handle it and we'll fix it. And so that's what we're seeing. We're seeing this orchestrated, controlled demolition of our supply chain and of the goods that we need, and it's getting to the point now. These are things that affect our everyday life, folks. This is why it's so critical to get prepared, to get your house in order, and to do the things like what we did yesterday. Get out and meet people, get out and make connections, and build relationships with people, because it's very feasible. It's well within the realm of possibility that in your lifetime, and probably very soon, you're going to need that community. You're going to need that community to really survive, so that you can lean on each other and help each other, and barter and trade with each other, because we're seeing it everywhere. This collapse of the supply chain, this collapse of raw materials and manufacturing. It's not everywhere. It's not massive, but it's happening at an increased rate of speed, and over the next coming months, it could be quite critical. So, folks, get ready. Folks, thank you for coming yesterday, for those of you that did, and I hope that I can see many more of you in future meetings. But get your houses in order. Prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thank you all for watching. Catch you in the next video.